Hi, my name is Alyssa Facione, and I'm going to be discussing Article 3, China and America, the New Geopolitical Equation. In the introduction, we learn that there has been friction between China and the U.S. for many years. China's current presidency, Xi Jinping, took office 5 years ago, and since then relations between the United States and China have been on a steady decline. There has been increased concern and risk following the inauguration of President Donald Trump, despite cooperation from Xi Jinping. For the past 15 years, China has implemented an expansive strategy of economic outreach and growth of military and diplomatic power. Since 1945, the U.S. has been militarily, economically, and ideologically. However, China is beginning to compete and even pass the U.S. in many aspects. In fact, China's GDP exceeds the U.S.'s for the first time in 2013. Today, China controls 18% of the world's GDP, while the U.S. controls about 15.5%. Though the U.S. still leads over China in per capita GDP, many European Union countries and Australia puts the U.S. behind China in economic power. Relations with China have been on the decline following the election of Donald Trump. Just 3 days after being sworn in, Donald Trump withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP, leaving many countries out to dry. Japan, being one of these countries, actually looked to resurrect TPP without the inclusion of the U.S. This setback frayed the U.S.'s mantle as a leader in international institution building and interdependence issues. Many countries began seeking trade agreements not based with the U.S., including Germany. The U.S. loss of leadership gave China the opportunity to pick up the slack. President Xi even emphasized at the World Economic Forum that a goal for China is to grow an open global economy, also saying that no one will emerge as a winner in a trade war. North Korea has become a nuclear threat to security. After being told by Obama that North Korea is America's biggest threat to security, President Trump has announced that the United States is considering, in addition to other options, stopping all trade with any country doing business with North Korea. President Trump and President Xi initially tried cooperating in an effort to denuclearize North Korea, with little to no positive outcome. Now China is doing just enough to avoid fallout with Washington while maintaining North Korean survival. Trump has also withdrawn from various secondary trade agreements with China to avoid directly or indirectly aiding North Korean weapons programs, which has been harmful to U.S.-China relations. Switching to what is going on in China, President Xi has two main desires: to keep Chinese and American relations on an even keel and to appear tough on the U.S. in the eyes of his people. Despite his various wars on anti-corruption, the median age of China is growing, meaning health and retirement costs will grow and the working age population will decline. In addition, China is flooded in corporate debt, causing slow Chinese foreign investments. Since President Xi is in charge of Chinese foreign policy for the foreseeable future, Washington is going to have to make do. Under his foreign policy, Beijing has become more assertive in safeguarding national interests. It is clear he is becoming a more aggressive leader as he has pushed the expansion of sovereignty in the South China Sea. He has also pressured India on its shared border in the Himalayas and has economically punished South Korea for their defensive missile deployments. They've even pushed along the line separating Japan and China in the East China Sea. In negotiating cooperation, the United States can continue to advance its interests through multilateral or bilateral trade agreements, negotiating one by one between Washington and individual countries. Washington has to decide whether to strive for balance in Asia or to seek to maintain primacy in its region. They have to also decide what to do with North Korea, as it is still a threat to national security. The United States is no longer in a position to compel cooperation. Cooperation must be negotiated. So, I believe that although Trump is doing what he thinks is right in regards to relations with China while keeping the needs of the U.S. in his best interest, letting China's interest in the Korean peninsula dictate where we stand with them economically may not be the way to go. Careful negotiation needs to be done to push China to fully understand what is happening in Korea in order to fix the economic sanctions Trump currently has with China. If I were president, I would work harder to negotiate with China to make amends for previous economic and foreign policy disputes. I would work harder to gain intel on what exactly is going on in North Korea, whether that be through the use of Chinese aid or the aid of other countries. And finally, I would work to rejoin TPP and other international agreements to regain the unwavering world leadership status that the U.S. once had. Thank you.